Hello, my name is Adebayo Gabriel Sola. I am the team lead of the Technocrats MTT. We are submitting our project today. Our project is let me share the screen. So the name of the project is GDP Segmentation per States in Nigeria. GDP Segmentation per States in Nigeria. GDP Segmentation by States in Nigeria. Let me try to close this one. So now our interest here, my name is Gabriel Olusola Adebayo, team lead, and my colleagues are Fasasi Bashirat. I am from data science. Fasasi Bashirat is from product management, and Akambi Abiodun Olawale is from data analytics and visualization. So we are going to show you step by step on what we are doing about GDP segmentation. GDP is a serious issue in Nigeria, and it's based on GDP segmentation per state in Nigeria. Here, our interest is that we want to know the internal generated revenue of each state and how they are performing based on their per state. So we have the introduction about the brief history of the GDP in Nigeria. And our research question, our interest here is, which state in Nigeria can guarantee return of investments? ROI. Which state in Nigeria can guarantee the return of investment? Does interstate significance on GDP per capita per state in Nigeria? And the statement of this study is that this study will identify states and geographical zones that can guarantee the return of investment. This study will recommend on how to increase GDP per capita in the state. Our target audience is the federal government, the state government, the local and international investors. Now, the methodology, we are using Python for this analysis. We use MS Word for organization, and we use MS PowerPoint for presentation. The study will make use of the following analysis tool: correlation, bar plots, scatter plots. More so, the study will also use elbow point and zero point to identify the number of clusters for the cluster analysis. The cluster analysis we are going to use is the K-means algorithm and Gaussian mixture model algorithm for unsupervised learning. The study will further use logistic algorithm for classification and accurate estimates. There will be computation mastery for this estimate. What our definition of terms? When we talk about GDP, we are talking about the gross domestic product. It's the measure of total value of all goods and services produced in the country during the period of time. And GDP per capita is the metric that measures country economic output per person. Population is the total number of people living in a specific geographical area. And interstate is the boundaries among states. While border is that be the land or water between two or more countries. Here now, if you want to get your GDP per capita, you have to divide the GDP by population, you get your GDP per capita. Simply in a layman language, the GDP per capita let us know how rich or how poor the state is. If a state is rich, you will know from GDP per capita. If a state is poor, you know from GDP per capita. So now we have defined the terms. So now look at our data set is from Wikipedia, list of Nigeria state by population, and list of Nigeria states by GDP. We have this, our features, we have the states, we have the region, geographical zone, we have population, 123, we have GDP in US dollar per each state, billions dollar per each state, and GDP per capita. When you divide 4 million with GDP divided by population, we are going to get GDP per capita. Interstate means that Abia states has 7 boundaries. 7 states are surrounded Abia state. 3 states surrounded Adamawa state. Akwa Ibom state, 3 states surrounded Akwa Ibom state, and so on and so forth. Border, but Abia, 2 means that does not have border, while 1 means that it has border. But our features here is the population and the GDP and GDP per capita. So I will take you to our house studio where we did the work. So from the house studio now, we have this. This is from Python. This is the Python GDP per capita. We are using our notebook. So we import our libraries. We import our the directories, our libraries. After importing the library, so we have our the data set is here, downloaded here. Then when we have data sets, we have to clean the data sets. After cleaning the data set, we have a clean. So what we do in short is that after cleaning the data set, we are going to look for the correlation. The correlation here. So after cleaning the data set, we look for the correlation. So this is the correlation of the data set. So what we observe here is that population and GDP is 0.61. This is not up to 0.8, but this is the highest value. So that means we are going to consider population and GDP. Others. Now, another one that is very important is the interstate, which is minus 0.28. Though it is not significant, but it matters. The reason why it matters is that since this negative is telling us that as the state has boundaries, small boundaries, there's likely that either the GDP of that state, well, the GDP of that state will reduce and GDP per capita will also reduce. For instance, talk about Kwara states now. We have some states that are around Kwara state, like Niger state, Kogi states, and what have you. So the money they're supposed to spend on the people in Kwara state, they can spend the money on the strangers, which it is significant. So we don't need to wait until negative 0.28 reach negative 0.8 or negative 0.9 before we start looking for the solution to that problem. Yes, the solution to this problem, the solution is that there should be a resident registration of citizens, so that they'll be able to plan for the citizen, so that they're able to manage and plan for citizens, so that the money that is meant for indigene will not be spent on non-indigene, so that they will be able to monitor and plan. So this is the GDP. So we copy this one now. We copy this and we bring it here. So so after this, we now copy it copy it, and we have our value here now. So the next point is after that, we now continue to look at so after that, we transform the data. When we transform the data, we're still going to get our 0.61 from this value. We're still going to get our 0.61. So now We now use SIBO to do our, our visualization. So we have to open our notebook to, to show you how we use SIBO. So here now we import our libraries. After importing the libraries, we download, we get our files here. Then we now start using SIBO to download our visualization. So after downloading, if you need the code, we send the code to you so that you can go through our code on how we download it. So now we now have to rearrange it now. So this rearrangement shows that for the northern region, northerners are more populated than southerners. When you call the GDP, the southerners is more, they raise money more than the northerners. And average southerners is, the GDP per capita is higher than the average northerners. So that means the southerners are doing, average southerners can afford to buy basic things more than the northerners. So we now look a step forward also. We look at the geographical zone. The northwest are the most populated, but the southwest has more resources, generating more revenue than every other side. And the average southwest can afford basic things because our GDP per capita is high in southwest. So we look at the population per state. Kano State is the most populated, but Lagos has more revenue than every other state. And average Lagosians can afford basic things because they are doing better than every other state. So we will also look at the Bayelsa states in population. They have the lowest population, but Yobe states generate the least GDP, while Kano State is average Kano indigene cannot afford basic things because they are the lowest gross GDP per capita. So we also have, when you look at per southerners and northerners, Lagosians has the highest population, while Kano also have the highest population in the north. So when you look at the GDP, Lagos has highest GDP than any other state in the south, while Niger State has the highest GDP than any other state in the north. But when you talk about affordability, that GDP per capita, average Lagosian can afford basic things than any other state in the south, while Kogi State, average Kogi indigene can afford basic things than every other state in the north. So so now when you look at the scatter plot here, the first side of the scatter plot, we have 6 outstanding, that is 6 outliers. So those 6 outliers are Lagos, Kano, Kwara, Plateau, Yobe, Enugu states. And we are indicated, we have our outliers here, we are indicated with green, purple, orange color. So what we have to do is that we cannot analyze this data with this. We have to clean the data set. So we clean the data sets, and after cleaning the data, we remove the outliers. We write the code to remove the outliers. So when we remove the outliers, the code is here. If you need it, we send it to you. After removing the outliers, we have this. So now we rearrange it per region. We observe that those purple, which is the south, they are more at up. So that means average southerners, the population doing well when we come to gross domestic products. They are raising more money, more revenue than the north. You can see the north is the blue, down. The region, the south are up. So here now, when we talk about geographical zone, we observe that the south are doing better when it comes to gross domestic products, and southeast, they are going up here. We have some of this, so we have these 3 lines, south, and southeast are doing better when it comes to gross domestic products. So now let's talk about the outstanding states. These 6 states has been removed from the data set because they are outliers. What makes Lagos to be outliers outstanding is that they have the highest population, the highest GDP, and GDP per capita. If you relieve Lagos in data set, we will not be able to achieve, we will not be able to build the model for the data set. We want to build the model, that's how we have to remove Lagos. Kano, we remove Kano because Kano have the highest population and the lowest GDP. GDP per capita is outliers. It will affect our calculation, so we remove it. Kwara State has the second GDP in Nigeria. It will affect the outliers. We remove it. Plateau State has the third lowest GDP in Nigeria. It will affect the outliers. We remove it. Yobe State has the lowest GDP in Nigeria. We will remove it also because we will not be able to. Outliers will not be able to enable us to build model. Enugu State has the third lowest GDP in Nigeria and the third lowest GDP per capita. We have to remove it. So you can see that these are the outliers that we remove. If we do not remove this outlier, we will not be able to get this clean data set and this clean data set. So we now move forward. Now, how do we determine the number of clusters? So there are 2 ways to determine, there are many ways to determine the number of clusters, but we are choosing 2. You choose the elbow point and the CO coefficient. Both of them telling us that this data set is going to have 3 clusters. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So therefore, we expect to have 3 clusters. So now we have designed, we have Gaussian's mixed method. We have run it. We run the code here. If you want to see the code, we send you the link to get the code, okay, on our Python. So we have GM and KM. K-mix algorithm and GM, Gaussian's mixed method. So these are the clusters. From 0 and 0, 1, 2, we have 3 clusters. 0, 1, 2, we have 3 clusters. So now we have, mind you, we have already removed our outliers. So we were able to build our model with this one. The next one is that when we look at this K-mix algorithm, we have, you observe that the 0, which is the green at our top, okay? But GM gave us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 out of this one gave us 4. This one gave us 7 at the top. So which means make GM to be better than KM. GM algorithm give us more precision than JM. You can see the line where we have our green here and our blue here. There you can see the 3 clusters. You can see the 3 clusters here. You can compare it with the regional and compare it with the geographical zone. So now, how accurate is GM? GM give us 0.97% accurate. It gave us 97% accurate. So you can see that if we do not remove the outliers, we will not be able to get 0.97% accurate. This is very okay. But assuming the outliers is there now, we will not achieve 0.97 accuracy. You can see that we are able to achieve. So the code is available. We send you the link to the code on request. Okay. Now, let's look at group 0. Since we have already chosen GM, at group 0 now, the states that belong to group 0 are Benue State, Niger State, Bauchi State, Jigawa State, Kaduna State, Katsina State, and Oyo State. Now, the states that belong to group 1, Kogi State, Nasarawa State, and what have you. So the states that belong to group 2 state are Anambra State, Imo State, Akwa Ibom State, Delta State, Rivers State, Ogun State, and what? And Ondo State. You set it according to GM, because GM is the algorithm that we choose. Now, recommendation. We recommend that if you consider to invest in the state based on the population, group 0 is better for you. That means this group 0, these are the groups that you can invest based on population, and most of them are from the north and northwest. You can invest in this Jigawa State, Kaduna State, Katsina State based on the population. Maybe you believe that population can give you more returns. You can invest on group 0. But when we talk about investing based on GDP and GDP per capita, we advise you that you invest in group 2. Group 2, because group 2 are doing better. Which states are in group 2? The states that are in group 2 are Anambra State, Imo State, Akwa Ibom State, Delta State, Rivers State, Ogun State, and Ondo State. This group, they have affordability, they can afford they can buy at high price because they have this money. Average indigenous have the money to buy at your price. But if you invest in group zero, they may not able to buy it at the standard price. You have to reduce the price, and you may not get return of investment as expected. You will, but not as expected. But this state, money flow around this state very well, and you'll be able to get a return of your investment. Interstate, on this, if you are dealing with interstate, now interstate is a factor that contributes to low GDP per capita state. In short, so that means group zero has enough of interstate here. Let's look at the group zero. Okay, yes, you can see group zero, 6 interstate, 7, 4, 6. You have a lot of interstate. There are a lot of non-indigenous that is not making them to perform very well. So how do you solve that problem? The solution to this problem is that introducing residential registration in the state. This will enable the state government to have the accurate data for planning in the state. But if the registration exists, then there will be need to make effective and efficient of the existing factors. So now, conclusion, this study enabled the local and international investors to know where to invest and get returns of investment. Investing in Nigeria will develop our economy and create more jobs for the youth. Migration within the state is a factor that reduces GDP per capita of every state. This problem can reduce with efficient use of residence registration. I hope we will be invited to explain more about this. I thank the 3MTT for organizing this program, and I thank 720 Degree Learning Innovation for sound training given to us. Thank you, and God bless you. Thank you.